Hello and welcome to Youth Today on Television Nigerian. Youth Today, as always, is aimed at inspiring, informing, and getting young people involved in both national and political issues. It's about Nigeria and the future of our country. Youth, as we all know, represents the future and hope for any nation. Today, we are going to be discussing politics and development in Nigeria. Do we politicize everything in Nigeria? Do we make politics take prominence over development? Now, before the president traveled to the Commonwealth Summit, he declared his intention for 2019. And while he was there, he made a statement that he's going to be committed to the three cardinal parts of his election that brought him into power in 2015, which is the economy, security, and fighting corruption. Today we are going to be looking at the place of development and politics. Now the president is going to focus, like he said, on these three parts of his government, and he has declared. Nigeria that we know, how do we see that playing out? Today on the program to be discussing this issue with me is our own policy expert, talking about Mr. Sylvester Nnamdi Essom. He's a policy expert and one of the best policy experts we have around. He has in-depth knowledge of policies and how government work. Mr. Sylvester, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
It's good to have you once again on Youth Today.
It's my pleasure.
Now, first and foremost, let's discuss the president's speech, the statement, and his declaration. How do you see that playing out?
Well, the statements of the president in the Commonwealth is indication to run for 2019 is not a coincidence. So we all anticipate that it was going to come, and it has come. So the unfortunate thing is that maybe where the statement came is not the most appropriate place, because they said that charity begins at home. So he should have put his house in order, make this statement here, try to convince us why this should happen, and try to give us the reason why it has never happened for the past 3 years. But unfortunately, he didn't take that part. He took the part of the dominant pattern of politics, impunity, like enforcing himself or some statement to the Nigerian citizens to abide by force. You must accept it. That's the way it seems. But it caused a lot of controversy. You mentioned economy. In the area of development, when you look at the economy, you look at it's a very big structure that you cannot do without in any society. You mentioned security, which that's the major challenge we have now in Nigeria. Killings are happening on a daily basis in Taraba, in Benue, in Nasarawa, etc. A lot of places like that, killings have been taking place. So where is the security? Is it the internal security or the external security you're talking about? Because the one that is most dangerous is the internal security, because you don't know where they are coming from. There's a concept like in guerrilla warfare. That's how they fight. It's not a conventional war. They'll face you, you face them. So they will hit and run, and then they disappear. They enter the forest. So these are the things that president should have put in place and find mechanism to deal with them first before going to the Commonwealth to announce what he wants to do, and because he has not been able to convince Nigerians.
So invariably you don't see it happening, because right now we already have governors endorsing him. We have already started seeing movements in the National Assembly. Do you see politics? Do you see development taking prominence this period?
No, politics in this part of the world, especially in Nigeria particularly, is not geared towards development. I want you to understand that. Politics here is geared towards individual and pocket interest. So you cannot say our politics is economy, or will. So like I said to you in one of the show that, look, development is not something you force on people. Development or change is not something you force on people. Change is our symptoms of the heart, and change must take place whether we accept it or not. So the politics in Nigeria is not that of development. It is that of pockets and interest in our articulation and wealth primitive accumulation. Let me put it. That's why you see people carry billions of naira. When you ask yourself, how are you going to go down? How do you consider the politics of Nigeria and develop?
It's going to be part of how we're going to wrap the program up when we talk about solutions on how we can actually merge both. But in a sane society, in a real sense, aside where politics is not geared towards development, where should we actually draw the lines? Are there some parts that we shouldn't really, sectors of the economy, of governance that we shouldn't really politicize at all?
There's something you need to understand, is that when you talk about development, remove politics out of it. Focus on economy.
Because when you still talk about our politics is towards development, like you said, that in Nigeria and some part of Africa, it's not like that. But isn't it supposed to be towards development?
That is what I'm telling you. You see, we don't understand the two areas that we should go. Politics should be played but on international arena. Should be played on a mind that will gear the economy. You see, every policy you see here today is geared towards economic development. That is how it should be. When you talk about development today we are talking about is economic development. Because once you have the economic development, which is the foundation, well, technology, agriculture, everything will follow. But without that economic development, you cannot find anywhere that you hold on. The politics we are playing, like I said, is individual development. I pack the money or I loot the money the way I want to send my children abroad, equip them, develop them in terms of human capital development, and then enrich them for the rest of their lives. So that's the kind of politics we play here. Unlike an ideal country where their policies are geared toward economic development for the benefit of the ordinary citizens and not individual, not even a group. But our political elites have not helped us in any way.
I'm not trying to stand brief for any of our politicians, but don't you think we can also give them a little? Isn't there be any part where they've been able to use their personal politics to draw development to the country?
See, for the past 50-something years, since 1960, we've had a series of governments, from Tafawa Balewa down to Buhari that we have today. Has it been any head of state or president that have shown the path of development? It's recently that some governors are beginning to take some shape, doing one or two things at the state level. But when we look at development in terms of economy, we need to strengthen the economic policy. The question you now ask, what is our economic policy as it stands now? A frontier country like Nigeria, who solely depend on oil, we cannot decide or determine how the economy will run. Because oil is an international market, so the international arena decide that. If the oil drops to 20 naira per or $20 per barrel, it's what we will sell. We cannot determine the price of oil. Now, why can't we formulate policy that will give a level ground for ordinary citizens to strive and survive? In areas like agriculture, the government should drive policy in the way that they will strengthen the agricultural sector, encourage people to go into agriculture, and see what we will produce. You will realize that we'll be distributing the entire Africa. That alone can survive this country.
Before we begin to jump into economic development, don't you think politics has, given our Nigerian reality, our diversified nature of different tribes, multiple culture, don't you see politics playing a key role first before a key role in terms of uniting these people before we start talking development?
See, there's something you need to understand. In every stage you go, you as an individual, however you go to that particular area, how you want to intend to achieve it, you are playing politics with it. So politics is all about interest. The pattern we should follow. You see, there are three components in politics that you must consider. The what, the how, and the when. But in the actual sense, the how and the when does not matter. Nobody cares about it. Do you achieve the result? That is the what. Did you get what you were agitating for? Did you win the election? Did you secure a job in that place you went for interview? That is the word. Nobody want to care about how you go about it. So in the real sense, our politics is supposed to unite us. But instead, like I told you earlier, it's a petitioner because of individual interests, tribe interests, ethnic interests, religious interests. So until we drop those personal interests aside and come to form a coalition and say this is the common goal, this is the common objective, let us focus and follow it to the latter. That is the only way, and time will begin to see the path of development.
So you think our politicians, in talking about politics, should be talking more on how to unify this country using separate interests? Let's in talking about interests, let's talk about this election schedule, for instance. Do you think it is more of personal interest than national interest? Both the National Assembly passing the bill and the president not giving his assent.
The Electoral Act has it very clear. The INEC have been given a mandate to fix timetable for elections and to decide when the elections comes. That has been given. That's why they call them Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Now, in the case where INEC, which the people you've vested so much, you've given the power, the authority to carry out this exercise, I've given you based on international best practices. One, their expertise. And you are now saying no, they shouldn't do that. On what grounds?
On the grounds of lawmaking.
On the grounds of lawmaking based on interest. If the presidential election comes first before the National Assembly, their interest might not be protected. It means you must deliver president in your constituency. And if you're unable to deliver president in your constituency, you cannot come back to National Assembly. It's as simple as that. It's interest. So they are fighting for their own. That is why the president too have refused to assent to the bill.
For personal interest too?
For personal interest. So the politics in this part of the world, like I told you, is all about individual and personal interest. It is not geared to develop Nigeria. It is not geared for a common man like you and I. It is for the elite, the bourgeoisies of this country, that they must be protected.
But somehow those interests can benefit the masses. Given the way the governance is in Nigeria, which we are, I'm going to ask you, do you think our economic and political structure gives room for more politics than governance? Is it a structural problem?
You see, we've discussed it before. We have a structural problem. We have what is called architectural defects.
This question now is it why our politics is losing the developmental side of it?
Yes, because you see, it was a long-term agenda, like I told you, by our colonial masters. This that we are here today is no way by mistake. I have said it before, and I'll say it again. That we are where we are today is no way by mistake. You see, development is a linear process. We must follow step by step, but we must abide by the rules that gear development. We must abide by the rules that actually drive that development. We must come together to work as a team, just like a car on the road with tires, steering, boots, windscreen, and all of that engine. Come together to convey you from point A to point B. We must come together to drive this part of development. Except that happens, we will not get what we are looking for.
Let's look once again at that electoral bill that the House is passing. Is it not a start for national interest, whereby everybody is not centered on who becomes the president?
See that if it were national interest in the part of amending the Electoral Act, it should have been done 3 years ago. It may have after 2015 elections. They should have said, okay, we want to do that. Why waiting till a month to the election before you want to do that? To show you that it's interest.
But they say better late than never.
If it were for national interest, that is my point. If it were for national interest, this should have been done immediately after election, because the mistake have already been seen. You don't wait till months before election before you want to come and achieve this. Now it's very clear that the people sitting down there, they don't even know who they are representing. Is it the national interest or their individual interest?
Now, let's talk about the people's reaction to all this. Because one way or the other, I think the people, I mean the masses, have a way of giving these our politicians a nod to continue with this their jamboree. How do you think people should the people should react to all these political moves that
You see,
now these politicians, they make us feel that it's our best interest, and you have people that are already dancing to those tunes.
you see, there's something you need to know. You see, there's what we call interest agitations and interest aggregations. Now, these people have made the interest known. For a common man, you won't know. But the common man have institutions, agencies, and where they channel their problems. The role of interest group, even political party, they have not helped us in the path of development. Religious group, they have not helped us in the path of development. CSO, civil society organizations, they have not helped us in the path of development. Media, they have not helped us in the path of development. I'm sorry I'm saying this because I'm on your platform. But that is the truth. Because religious groups will just gather and go and pay President Buhari visits in the villa. What for? On what grounds? Is there any interest to that? Is the interest for national interest or individual interest or group interest? Media, you go to report A, you get there maybe because a brown envelope is given to you. Now report B. What interest are you serving? In the national dailies, is what they tell is what they write. You hardly see NTA, incriminating the government. Whose interest are they serving? Is it for the masses or those individuals? So the tools we are supposed to use in making sure that our interests have been taken to the political system in order to bring out the best that we want, we desire, we the citizens. They have been compromised.
You have been hijacked.
They have been compromised. That is the term. They have been compromised because today I will come here. There is a way I will speak here. You come. You take the camera off me.
No, we're not like that.
No, that's the way I will speak. You take the camera off me because you don't want to hurt some sensitive government institutions or so.
On television Nigeria, we
So
it's about the development of this country.
So those are the areas we are looking at. All these institutions, tools, instruments, ordinary citizens are supposed to channel their problems to see that the government attend to their needs have been compromised. And that is where the government can do whatever they feel like doing. And they'll go scot-free.
The essence of television Nigerian is to bring the masses as much as closer to the government. That's why we can have this program and have us talk about this program. Some media houses have been compromised, like you said, but the essence of television Nigerian, for the sake of our viewers that are watching, we do not cut cameras on our guests. We are going to be back, and I'm not cutting this camera now, but we're going to take a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to be looking at the solutions to development and politics in Nigeria.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all one took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
Information remains the bedrock next stage of development. It develops both the human mind and the society at large. Television Nigerian is here to avail you with that information you need for all-round development through its mind-blowing programs such as news, talk shows, health and safety, governance and politics, sport, entertainment, kids, documentaries, finance, global happenings, human disposition from childhood to adulthood. It's a manifestation of what you see, what you hear, and say. Tune in and stay tuned to TVN, Television Nigeria, broadcast beyond boundaries.
Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. An all-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence.
For staying tuned, it's still Youth Today on Television Nigeria, and as always, it's about the future of our great country, Nigeria. You can like our Facebook page and follow us on, subscribe to us on YouTube on Television Nigeria, where you can also drop your comments on the issues that we're talking about, and also drop questions for our guests subsequent so that they can give a response to your questions. Now we're talking about politics and development in Nigeria, and my guest has been Mr. Sylvester Nandi Esom, a policy expert, one of the best young brains we have right now in our country, Nigeria. Now we're talking about, let's talk about politics and security in Nigeria. Is it supposed to be a no-go area, or are we politicizing security in Nigeria?
You see, everything is politics. In Nigeria, we use every tool we have, every instrument to play or to gather political gains. And that's why you see even our security agencies have been compromised. They use them for the purpose which they want to achieve.
To score political points.
So you need to understand that the formation of those security units or agencies were not to protect you and I. It's not for ordinary citizens. Unlike in other developed countries, where you have almost in every 2 person, you have a security man. Like in Egypt, for example, the security men in Egypt are more than the ordinary citizens. Yes. But in Nigeria, we have about approximately maybe 300,000 or 250-something thousand policemen.
But there's policemen.
Good.
But there are other security agencies.
Like
the what's it called? Is it in the number? Is it in the number or in the structure?
The number, the capacity, and the structure, they all matters a lot. Now, if you have 250,000 security men, like police, who are supposed to take charge of the internal affairs, but you must understand that police duty is internal, military duty is external. But we find ourselves in a country where both military, police, civil defense are all internal. And those people you see, now you see one individual call himself maybe a senator or a governor, can hijack 20 to 30 of those security men. We are approximately, by 2022, we will get to 206 million citizens in Nigeria. By 2022. So if we have 206 million citizens in Nigeria, and we have 250,000 police, what ratio will they put it? How will they secure the sovereignty of this country? In what aspects? It goes to some area, that's why you see militias, people just come out from one bush
No, but
instead, they treat us as subjects and not citizens. There are two different dimensions, things. If you're citizens, there are duties the government owes to you. One is to protect you. Are you protected? People are done every day. They are killing them every day. Herdsmen, Boko Haram, here and there. If you're a citizen,
I will ask you this one quickly because my producers are already telling me that we're running out of time. The situation at the now, how do these people score points, political points, by giving us less security? How do they score political points by giving us less security?
now, the long run is that those institutions called security agencies were not meant for you and I. But at the time of establishment, they'll make you to understand that, look, these people are here to protect you. But do they protect you? In your community, in your village, have you seen any policeman?
So, but talking about development now, because I'm trying to just ask these questions before.
Yes.
What will you give attention to? Security, economy. How do you marry both?
Like I told you,
Giving scarce resources, like our government said.
like I told you earlier, in development, we bring every unit together to drive that part of development.
But don't you think if we are giving focus to every unit,
most importantly, the government always complain that it is because we lack funds, and that is why we cannot empower our security men. We cannot improve their capacity. If we drive the economic sector, are we going to be complaining? If private investors, in fact, in some other developed countries, they have private security firms that provide security in some areas. Governments pay them to do that. That look, between Maitama and this place, this security area is for you. Whatever happens here, we will hold you responsible. We will pay you for doing that. Do we have that in Nigeria? The only private security firm we have is to open gate and close gate of banks and individuals. So we do not have security. And that's why I cannot guarantee your safety. Not the government can guarantee anybody's safety.
So what do you think? What do you think the government should do? Going to 2019 now, where a lot of us believe, a lot of us young people believe the paradigm is going to change, and we are going to start seeing some tangible developments. What do you think we should do differently?
What I think we should do is we should look on the path of development, like I said earlier, where we see young men or men who have the country at heart, interest at heart, who have that development drive to move the country forward, to come into the government, into the political scene. Otherwise, if we keep roaming around the same circle of crowd of people who existed in 1980s and 70s to come back and rule us again, the same problem that happened in 70s and 80s will still happen in 2000.
Wow. I must thank you a lot. Thank you very, very much for coming on the program. This is where we're going to cut it because my producers are already giving me signs that we should run out of the studio. One take home is, like the saying goes, that it's only a mad person that continues to do something the same way and expects a different result. It is time for us as young people, as Nigerians, to begin to think of the real change, not change as a slogan. Let's look at those candidates that have plans for this country and are ready to do things differently. My name is Caesar. I want to thank you a lot for watching Youth Today on Television Nigeria. Please stay tuned for all our programs, very interesting programs, and have a very good day.